Hello, welcome to this week's Down Home with Tina. I am your host, Tina Thompson. How are you guys doing? I hope that you are staying healthy and doing some fun things. Came across a magazine when I was visiting my dad here not long ago, and it's called Reminisce. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is the coolest little magazine. And it is just as the title is. They reminisce about the good old days. And I was reading so many different and neat things. One of them, I think it was a car on the front of the magazine, and it was talking about taking a ride. And I had mentioned that here on the show not long ago. And I took a ride with my daughter a couple of weeks back. And I have to tell you guys, sometimes those rides with just you and somebody else, I even had it in one of my blogs, they're so important, some of the topics and the conversations that come up during those drives. So if you can't, or you're not going out and visiting different places like areas or restaurants, and you just want to take a drive with your kids, I recommend that you do it. You can have some really great and fun topics. And that little magazine, I don't even know where you get it. He gave it to me. He said, here, maybe you can use it. So if you don't go anywhere, I will share something with you coming up later in the show if I have time, because you know I always have so much to share with you. But I do have some wonderful guests that are coming up in this next half hour. I have a fellow from Habitat of Humanity from Southeast Ohio. He is a newer executive director. His name is Kenneth Oehlers. And then I also have a fellow from a local car dealership. His name's Kent Delong, but he's not here to talk about cars today. He's here to talk about something else. It's a hobby that he has. And I think that it's going to be a lot of fun for me to learn something new. Maybe it'll be something for you to learn that's new as well. I'll be back in a minute with Down Home with Tina.
The Frankie Smith Funeral Home and Crematory in Lancaster and the Johnson Smith Funeral Home in Baltimore have a long and wonderful history of serving our community. Feel free to give us a call at 740-653-0652. Stop in and see us at either of our two locations, 405 North Columbus Street in Lancaster and 207 South Main Street in Baltimore. Respect for tradition, regard for change.
Hi, I'm Brandon. I'm a recovering addict. For 10 of the last 11 years, I've been struggling with addiction, homelessness, incarceration, and just loneliness. However, since getting clean this past year, I've accomplished more than I have in those 10 years combined. After attending outpatient counseling services, inpatient counseling services, living in a sober living house, and attending 12-step meetings, I've been able to regain control of my life and begin to achieve goals I've always dreamed of. Addiction can destroy lives in many ways. Whether you need help with childcare or financial assistance, everyone deserves a new beginning. Recovery supports are just that, supports for recovery. My life mattered. Your life matters too.
This message is brought to you by the Fairfield County Adam H. Board.
Welcome back to Down Home with Tina. There is a nonprofit organization out of Lancaster, but they have them throughout the nation. That is Habitat for Humanity. So this is now called not Fairfield County Habitat for Humanity, but Habitat for Humanity of Southeast Ohio. And I'm really excited to have the newer, not new, right? Because you've been there for a little bit, Kenneth?
Yes.
Kenneth Oehlers. He is the newest executive director, and welcome to the show. And I'm so excited because you guys always have so many amazing things for folks in the community to help them get to where they want to be.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're pleasure to be here. I've been with Habitat, actually Habitat Southeast Ohio for 10 years, and at the beginning of this year, Habitat Fairfield County merged with my organization, Habitat for Humanity of Southeast Ohio. And so now we serve Fairfield County, and we operate the Restore out of Lancaster as well, over on Slocum Drive.
Well, you know, Kenneth, you're not the only nonprofit organization that has actually done that within the last year or two, maybe. I know the American Red Cross did the same thing for obvious reasons sometimes, and sometimes not so obvious reasons. But it's really great that you are here and able to continue to make a difference in our county.
Yeah, the substandard housing and affordable housing issues in Fairfield County are pretty profound. And I grew up in Fairfield County, so this is home for me. so I know what's going on with affordable housing, and we need to continue to build thousands of units of housing to meet the demand out there, and also get rid of a lot of blight, not just in the city of Lancaster, but also in the surrounding communities. And that's what Habitat's focus is.
What are some of the things that you guys are doing, because you have so many different programs that you
Sure.
offer?
Well, Habitat's slogan is a hand up, not a handout. And so all of our programs are repayable back to Habitat through a zero interest mortgage. We build strength, stability, and self-reliance through shelter. That's our big talking point, and what we really focus on. Empowerment is key. The three programs that we offer, we have our traditional homeownership program, where we build homes from the ground up with volunteers. We will be building a new home in Fairfield County this time next year in Pleasantville, and the application process is open. And then families pay a zero interest mortgage back to our organization, and we recycle those funds back in to build more houses. We also have a critical home repair program that's designed for current homeowners who aren't Habitat homeowners, who need to have critical home repairs done, like new roofs, wheelchair ramps, things like that. And they apply through our program, and then they repay back the loan. It's an affordable loan over 5 years, up to $5,000. And then we also have a microfinance program. And that program is focused on, it's $2,000 loans that are focused on quality of life issues. So it could be housing, but it can also be transportation and medical devices as well that aren't covered by insurance. And that's repayable as well. And we do that in order to help people so that they don't have to go to check cashing places and payday lenders and things like that.
Right, yeah, absolutely. And that's what it's really helping folks to be able to have something that is their own and they can call their own. And when you have that, it's so much, means so much more, I think.
Yeah, and the education that we provide to our families in our programming, we do financial literacy training, we do budget counseling, we teach our families how to be good neighbors, we require our families to meet with a local code officer or a village administrator so they know all the codes in the community and all the ordinances and things like that might affect them. And, our education, I'm biased, of course, but, we have a low default rate on our mortgages and on our loans. It's lower than traditional bank default rates. And so our families take care of what they build and what they work in partnership with us.
Very, very nice. Kenneth, what are some of the other programs that you have that you offer?
Well, the Restore is one of our biggest programs. And a lot of people think that the Restore helps raise money for Habitat, but we also have success stories within the store of helping low-income families. Now, it's open to the public, so you don't have to be a Habitat homeowner or you don't have to be low-income. Anybody could come in and shop at the Restore. But we do a lot of recycling out of that store through the donation of furniture, appliances, and building materials. Last year, we recycled over 300 tons of waste that was diverted from the landfill and resold at our store.
Wow.
This year, we're hoping for 450 tons. And all the money that is raised at the store helps to provide funding and programming in Fairfield County.
Yeah. Well, I think that what you guys are doing are just amazing things. And you also have a volunteer program that folks can help with those amazing things, right?
Yeah, so most of our organization is volunteer driven. We service an 8-county region as a Habitat affiliate. We have 3 Restores, Athens, Zanesville, and Lancaster. We have 14 staff in those stores, and then we have 10 staff that do all the housing programs and all the volunteer coordination in an 8-county region. So we rely heavily on volunteers to help us. No experience necessary. People who have never used a hammer before, they come out, they learn how to do something on a build site, they feel empowered as well. So it's not just about empowering families, but also empowering community members. And we have skilled construction staff on site that will help teach.
Do you ask that folks, if they have some kind of trade, do you ask them to help if they have means to be able to do so as well?
Absolutely.
As far as volunteering.
Yeah, we love trade people who want to come out and help with us. Like I say, our build sites are run very professionally, much like a traditional construction department. So tradespeople, they would feel like at home there.
Yeah.
But still at the same time, if they don't have any skills or if they want to learn skills, Habitat's a wonderful opportunity to do that.
Kenneth, those folks that are out there that do construction, I know usually they try to stay within their how much maybe they would need it for a product, for a job, for themselves. But if they ever have anything that is left over, are you always open to take that extra
absolutely.
material?
Absolutely. If we can't use it on a Habitat build site, we can sell it at the restore. And even if it's just a couple bundles of shingles, it goes a long way towards helping us accomplish our mission.
I love the, repurpose, reuse, recycle?
Yeah, reduce, reuse, restore.
Now it's reduce, reuse, restore.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And and it's, we had 11,000 customers come through this store last year. And those are 11,000 people that solved issues in their homes and were able to purchase goods to repair their homes.
Oh, and I think it's just really neat too, though, because there are so many things that you have in the store that can be like repurposed in their home. So you can take it home and do something new with it. I know I recently did that with a cabinet that I've had for years, and I thought, I want to kind of do some kind of paint thing. I don't know. So it was kind of a fun project to kind of dive into doing something new.
We've done a lot of modifications to the store as well. So we have air conditioning in there now, which is something that we didn't have last year. And the staff there is just all on board about Habitat. So we have a very safe store with COVID-19. We are requiring facial coverings in the store, but you could feel safe coming into our store and shopping at the store.
Kenneth, do you mind if I ask you what your favorite down-home moment is? And that is just anything that has to do, it could even do with Habitat for Humanity in a home that somebody has, or just a moment in life that has just been very special that you would care to share with anybody?
Well,
some people have a lot.
Yeah.
So.
No, I think, home always is special to me. When I built the first Habitat home with Habitat Southeast Ohio, I served as the construction supervisor.
Nice.
And so being able to see a family go from nothing to something in terms of a house, which is what I had with the first home that was built under me as executive director, really meant a lot to me. And I'm really excited to bring that energy and passion from my staff to Fairfield County, because we know that we can be a positive light in Fairfield County. And so I'm really excited about that, because this is home for me. Fairfield County is home for me.
Oh, that is so awesome. Well, welcome back home. I guess I should say it like that. Kenneth, one other thing, your website and Facebook, all that, for folks to stay up on what you're doing and your new home builds.
Habitat for Humanity Southeast Ohio on Facebook, and it's habitatseo.org on our website.
Perfect. Yay. Thanks. I'll be back in just a few minutes. I've got another fella with fly fishing. It's down here with Tina.
Dagger Law has been part of the Lancaster community for more than 110 years. This is where we live and work. You'll see us at festivals, sporting events, and all around town. We consider our clients as friends, and we walk alongside you through challenging times. Whether you're a growing business, a changing family, facing litigation, planning your future, or dealing with land issues, we're right here. We are local. We are trusted. We are experienced. Dagger Law.
Hey, it's Tina with Down Home with Tina. I'm really excited. I have a fellow here I've known for probably a long time, I would say. About now, it's about, I don't know, 10 years maybe?
At least, yeah.
At least 10 years. Yeah. Because I got to know him because I was kind of like that disgruntled car shopper going, oh my gosh, I need a car and I need one now, and all I want to do is just tell you what I can afford and just give me a car. Kent Delong was with me. He did work it and still does at a local car dealership, and he made me a very happy car driver that day. I was going to say camper. Car driver that day. But he's not here to talk to me about that. He is here to talk to me about a hobby. It's safe to call it your hobby, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Your favorite hobby ever?
One of them.
Oh, one of them?
Yeah.
So you have more than one.
Right.
This one take up a lot of time, though?
Not as much as it used to. Career and kids.
Would you like for it to take up more?
I would, yes.
Yeah.
As I'm sure most people would say.
What are we talking about, Kent?
We're going to talk about fly fishing today.
Yes, and I think that's interesting because I have absolutely no idea, other than I've seen people, probably in a picture somewhere, standing in the water with their fishing rod pole. You may even call it different things, and because I figured, and just kind of going back and forth fly in your,
Yeah.
line.
So
That's all I know about it.
that's okay. That's what a lot of people know. So fly fishing is just a method of fishing. Most people are familiar with what's referred to as conventional fishing. So conventional fishing is you're using a monofilament line, and then you have a weighted lure or live bait. So the biggest difference is with conventional fishing, you have the weighted lure or bait, and that is pulling line off the reel. So you cast it forward, it goes out, you reel it in. With fly fishing, you're actually casting the line in an almost weightless fly. So the fly is basically just following the line around wherever you cast it. So what you're seeing when you see it on TV or on a movie or whatever, that movement is called false casting. And the only point of false casting is to get line off the reel and into the water. Flies can mimic everything from small bait fish to frogs to real insects. So a lot of traditional fly fishing is what's called dry fly fishing. So you're putting a bug on the surface of the water, whether it's looking like a grasshopper or like a traditional caddisfly, and you're trying to convince the fish that it's a real bug. They come up and eat it, and you catch them. A lot of fishing is done on the bottom of the water column, so we're actually mimicking subaquatic bugs that are in their larval or nymph stage. And so sometimes we're bouncing stuff along the bottom of the water column. If you're fishing for like steelhead, for example, they're actually flies that look like fish eggs. So we can use what's like a fish egg fly, but you can fish for just about anything that swims.
Oh, you can with this method of fishing.
Yeah, actually, my master's project was on fly fishing in Ohio. So
really,
yeah, so you can actually fish for anything that swims. It's not as popular in Ohio just because there's a lot more conventional fishing that happens in Ohio than there does fly fishing. But I lived in Colorado for a while, and that's where I learned how to fly fish 20 years ago and some change. But it's, most people, when they think of fly fishing, they think of something out west, and you're on a river and you're catching trout, which is a huge component of fly fishing. But you can fish on local farm ponds for bass, for bluegill.
How do you do that? Because I thought like your technique is to get it out there and in really fast. No?
No, it's just to get line
really?
off the reel and keep your line in the water as long as possible. So like a lot of
Keep it
people
in the water as long as possible for them to think that the fish to
Right.
think that it is
Right.
a bug or a fly or something, which
Something
those
edible.
don't really sit still, do they?
Well, if you're fishing in current, let's say if you're fishing in
Yeah.
a river, then
Yeah.
you're basically, the fly just follows
It's going with
the
the
current
current.
of the river.
Yeah.
But if you're fishing in a pond, then it can be something that mimics like a water strider, like I said, a grasshopper, anything that has movement. All due respect to people that like bluegill. Bluegill are kind of dumb fish, so they'll basically chase anything that moves.
I've caught one of those a few times. Well, different ones.
But there are
Different ones.
specific flies that are tied for bass that can mimic, like I said, small
So
bait
you
fish.
can even do bass
Oh, yeah.
fishing with this.
Catfish, carp. There's carp flies that you can tie that look like
Okay.
a very popular carp fly is that actually looks like a mulberry. So you can actually tie flies that look like vegetation essentially. And
So try flies. Okay,
Yeah.
so you call the bait fly.
mhm.
Okay. So do you use different ones, you say, for different fish that you're
Yeah.
trying to catch? Now, do you ever catch something else with that fly
like-
that you're using?
How do you mean?
I mean, like, if you're wanting for bass and you catch something else.
Oh yeah, I mean.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
that
that's
happens.
a norm
That happens
too.
all the time.
Okay. Okay.
So now these have hooks in them, so be careful.
Yes.
So those really look like nothing.
See that, Josh?
But those are supposed to mimic small bait fish. So those are really popular for steelhead fishing. So I do a lot of steelhead fishing in the winter. So steelhead are basically a lake-run species of rainbow trout.
So
and-
it's edible?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely it
these are
is.
edible.
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
And so a lot of times, like right now, all the Great Lakes tributaries, so Lake Erie, so from Cleveland proper over into Pennsylvania, flip it over, there's more.
Oh, oh, wow.
Yep. So sometimes they can be just like a plain white, or sometimes they can be brightly colored.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of them are just to basically get the fish's attention and to kind of aggravate them sometimes, because when they come into the smaller creeks and rivers to spawn, they want to focus on spawning, not necessarily eating. So sometimes we're just basically trying to agitate the fish to get them to strike.
What is the fish that you catch most often? That is the dumb fish?
No, it just
Or
depends
not.
on what you want to do.
Okay.
So if you're pond fishing, it's common that you'll find a lot of bluegill or bass. But so for example, these are some
Oh,
what we
wow.
would call nymphs. So those kind of
yeah.
replicate like subaquatic bugs.
That is really neat.
Um,
But the water also, even in ponds, will keep these moving, so it makes it look like they are
Or
real.
you can strip the line in a little bit. So once the line is out, whatever hand you're casting with or arm you're casting with, you can use your opposite hand to kind of strip the line in a little bit. So that way you're giving the fly movement.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm trying to trick the fish and whatever. Oh my goodness.
So those orange and green
These are
things,
really
those are
cool.
supposed to look like fish eggs.
Oh wow.
Yep.
Who would have thought? That is really cool. So this is just some of the different.
These are some of the different flies that you can have. And again, there's a lot of creativity that you can do. So like a lot
Oh
of
my
those on the bottom, those are called poppers. And so it's basically just a cork foam body that are painted to look like frogs or small bait fish. And those actually create like a gurgling on the surface of the water. So that way it attracts like a bass or something like that. And so that way they're attracted to it and they come up and eat.
For the different fish, there are different times of the year to do the fly fishing. If you want to catch like
All year.
bass, you're saying, all year.
Yeah, so like
you can
now-
catch bass any time of the year.
Yeah, now like on open water, like in a farm pond, obviously bass, bluegill,
Yeah.
things like that. In the wintertime is when the steelhead come in to run. And again, we fish in Ohio and Pennsylvania, basically along I-90 up
Yeah.
north. But they're usually active as it gets cold. So they start coming in usually September, October from Lake Erie, and they're coming in to spawn and make more babies. So
And that's when you would try to get them. Okay, I would love to try this sometime. Do you do lessons? We only have like a couple of minutes. This has gone crazy fast. 'Cause
Yeah, so
this
we
is
have-
so cool. I would love to
Sure.
be out on the water sometime.
yeah, that'd be
The
fun.
equipment that I would need are probably going to be some of the things that you have over here. Too,
Yeah,
with
so
your
this
pond.
is just like a basic
I don't know if
backpack.
I'll bring one of those for one time.
But this is big enough
you
to
know.
carry all the different things you need, all the tools, all the spare parts that you might need, extra line, stuff like that. Big enough to put some food in, an extra
Nice.
jacket, stuff like that.
Yeah, because some people have a boat,
I don't
so
like
it's a
boats.
lot more of
Yeah.
that.
These are waders. So this is like the Gore-Tex material. So you would put these on. They're basically just like overalls, if you would. And then these are boots that you put on after you put the waders on.
Okay.
And if you notice on the bottom, these have like a felt sole with
Oh
spikes.
yeah.
So these will help grab through ice or through rocks or any kind of slippery moss and stuff like that. Not really necessary when you're fishing from the bank, but if you're going to get out in the water, this is a
That
good thing
is-
to have.
Okay, we only have like 30 seconds. What could you tell me in 30 seconds?
Well, one of the things you'd asked before we started the interview, what's my favorite down-home moment? And I grew up fishing with my dad. And so this is something that I always wanted to try. He grew up conventional fishing, so I tried this when I moved to Colorado, and I remember ever since I was little fishing with my dad.
And I love you can do it all year. So
Yep.
I know that's about it. But thank you. He will be back again, you guys, because there's so much more to learn, and I'd love to get out on the water to show you some of that as well. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Goodness, it goes by so fast. It always has when I've interviewed him in the past. I'll be back in a minute. It's down here with Tina.
Fairfield Federal. When it comes to our customers and our community, we go above and beyond to help. Our people make the difference.
We were retiring from Tucson, Arizona, and we made a retirement trip out around Ohio, having decided that's where we wanted to be. And we came across this town called Lancaster, and we fell in love with the downtown area, where the fountain is, and the memorials, and the flags, and all this stuff. And we looked around, and I said, "There's our bank, right there."
There's something to be said about a community bank in your hometown.
Right. If you live in the community, you should do business in the community as much as possible. So it makes sense to bank with the community bank where you live.
Fairfield Federal is the bank to be at. If you live in this town, or any town actually, you want to bank at a local home bank. The employees are happy here, they're conversant, customer service is through the roof. There's nothing more you could ask for.
Personal or business banking, whatever you need, we take it seriously because we know you do. Stop by today at any of our 3 locations and see why the difference is clear. Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan specializes in banking that revolves around you.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
It's Down Home with Tina. Thanks for joining me this week. Well, I have been out and about to the fabric store way too many times, and I'm having a lot of fun sewing and making new things. My most recent new make and new pattern are the pants I have on. But as everything, the first time you try something new, if you try to do it a second time, it's usually better, which I did get better with my skirts. So the next one will be, I think, even better. You won't know the difference, only I will, where my little mistakes are. But the pants that I have on today, I had decided to try to make a pair of pants, just like the skirts that I could not find anywhere online, in the stores. Well, then the stores, of course, you couldn't go shopping for a while, and it's still limited to where I'm going anyways. So I couldn't find them, so I made them. But I have to tell you, if you ever decide to make your own pattern with a pair of pants, you need to make sure for a certain thing you have enough room in the derriere, because I do have to say I am not just bending over in these pants today, and that I probably won't wear them often because I feel that, unlike my skirt, I gave myself some extra room and then I could adjust if need be. Well, my pants I didn't. So anyways, if you decide to make some pants, they're really, really easy to make, but you'll have that trial by error kind of thing. And you know me, I always recommend, if you want to try something new, try it and don't be afraid, because if you make a mistake, you can always fix it. For myself, I did end up having to take out one part of the pants and make it a little better to fit, but it is what it is. Folks, something you know about my blogs, I do blogs. Well, a couple of weeks ago, I had been told by one of my kids that a young man was in an accident. And so I went to bed that night with such a heavy heart. He is a year younger than my son, and I think ever since then, it's just I think of my son often, and I think, oh my goodness, that could have been him. He could have been in an accident, and what could have happened? And so at that time, I decided to wake up the next day, and it was still heavy on my heart, and I wanted to write a blog. And so I did. I wrote a blog called The Accident. And what I find that really I was so excited about it is that I wanted to share it on Facebook, as I did, Down Home with Tina, and I decided to boost it. That's where you paid for advertising. Yeah, I wanted to sponsor this blog called The Accident, because in the blog there's a whole lot of the story in it. It talks about a fella and how I got into radio, which led me to be into TV. Now, I did share that on my very first Down Home with Tina show, but this is a little more in detail. And at the end of my blog, I talk about the accident, because there was an accident with that fella and then this accident, and how I feel that we cannot wait until tomorrow to tell somebody something important, because that day may never come for them. It did come for the young man that is my son's friend, and it's nothing shy of a miracle that he's doing really, really well. And you can always look on downhomewithtina.com so you can read the whole blog. You know what I'm talking about. But I think that something that's very, very important for us to keep in mind, folks, is that, and there's a song that I came across recently, and it's called The Most Beautiful Things, and it's by Tenille Townes, and I want you to watch that, because the part of that song, the lyrics are this, and I wrote them down so I wouldn't forget. Why do we close our eyes when we pray, cry, kiss, and dream? Pray, cry, kiss, and dream. Why do we close our eyes? It could maybe because the most beautiful things in life are felt and not seen. And I really, truly believe that. So when you're with your loved ones, let them know how special they are and how important they are, and be there throughout the tough times, the great times. My sign here says life is beautiful, but sometimes it's tough. Hey, I hope you have a great one. God bless. Good day. It's Down Home with Tina.